our first reading was, you could see it as a call to the people of Israel to live a deeper fulfilment of the law. Not a superficial fulfilment of the law, but to go deeper. So they were doing some things but missed the heart of what they needed to do to fulfill the law. And Jesus says that he's come to fulfill, not to abolish the law in our gospel today, to take it deeper. Not satisfied with a superficial obedience. And that applies to us all, to take it deeper. And next few weeks, we're going to have those readings where Jesus says, you've heard it said, that is, like in the law, an eye for an eye and a tooth, for instance. But I say to you, love your enemies, to take it deeper. Next few weeks we'll get that. The beautiful, classic Jesus. The thing is, though, it makes it harder. What Jesus says in the next few weeks, for instance, he says, today I've come to fulfill, not abolish. But what he says, you think, oh, right, yeah, thanks for that, Jesus. Now it's harder. Yeah, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be. Because otherwise the world keeps on going as it is, a superficial obedience to the law. Not even that, perhaps, but we're looking for something deeper. And the response might be when we hear Jesus say in the next few weeks, you have heard it said, but I say to you, etc., we better try harder. You might not say it like that, but you might hear it as a call to sort of stiffen your discipleship. Or maybe you might look for inspiration. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when we have the disciples first respond to Jesus and his call. They just seem to drop everything and go. How inspiring. They were inspired by him. Maybe. But the problem with that is that it thinks that, or we have to carry the burden of thinking that we have to do the law, that we have to do what Jesus says ourselves. Jesus just isn't after performance, though. You see, if you're going to do it, you've got to do it deeper. And see, when I read these passages now, I don't think to myself, right, better try harder. I used to, but I don't now. Actually, what it reminds me of is in the Old Testament, the prophet Jeremiah, he prophesies about a new covenant. Now, the covenant is like, Moses and the Ten Commandments, the law, etc. The relationship between the people of Israel and God. And Jeremiah looks to a new covenant where the people would fulfill the covenant. They'd do what they're meant to do, but they'd do it because God would write it on their hearts. Instead of having it written on the stone tablets, and somehow you have to get it from there into your heart, Jeremiah says that God would do that so that we would know it by heart. That's picked up, at the Eucharist, when at the words of the wine, I say, this is my blood this is Jesus, in my blood of the new covenant. That's part of what it's referring to, this promise that it would be written on our hearts rather than us having to try to get it from outside to the inside. God makes it on the inside, so the human heart responds by heart. It's quite beautiful. So how? How does that happen? Well, it's Jesus. I know that sounds funny to say that at church, but it really is. It really is Jesus. Jesus, when I think about Jesus, I think of him, one way, is as the fulfilment of the prophecy of Jeremiah. Jesus is the human heart upon which the law is written. He does it by heart. That's, if you like, he's the one in which it's done. It's not like, it's all done, all of us in our own standing. It's done in Jesus. And we're united to him. It's his spirit of the human heart where the law is written. It's that spirit that we receive. So when Jesus today says, I've come not to abolish, but to fulfill the law, and talking about taking it deeper, if you like, to a true fulfilment, it's him. He has come to fulfill it. He is its fulfilment. So when he says, in the next few weeks, you have heard it said, but I say to you, think of him. It's him. First off, don't think, that's me, or I should do that. You think, that's Jesus. He's not telling us in exactly, you should try harder. That's, when you try and do what we're meant to do, it does actually feel like, there are times when you think, I'm going to do that better. Yeah, I get that. But that's different than having an underlying openness to the Spirit of Jesus filling our hearts, for God to do it. When we respond, it will feel like us doing it. Yep, got that. That's another sermon. But actually underlying that is God's action. What makes it possible is God's action in Jesus to make, if you like, the first human heart, the one we needed to change all human hearts. Amen.